John Cole with DiscountJuicers.com. Today, another exciting episode for what we're going to do today for you guys is actually answer the question that I get so much over email each and every day. John, which juicer should I buy? Man, I got it down to two choices. Either the Slowstar juicer by TriBest or the Omega VSJ843. So this is actually a difficult question to answer. And before I go on, I want to explain to you guys that in my opinion, these are the best two vertical single auger juicers on the entire planet that I'm aware of at this time, because they are the second generation machines. You know, other machines that may look like this is a first generation because they have a hole in the bottom of the screen. And you want to try to avoid getting a vertical auger juicer with a hole in the bottom of the screen because that is a major blockage point. It often jams up, clogs, and will give you a lot of headaches. These two models don't have the hole in the bottom of the screen, and that's why they're second generation and outperform, don't clog up as bad as the other machines. You know, matter of fact, TriBest announced that you could juice like a whole head of celery without cutting it up in their juicer without it clogging, and I have replicated this. I've actually since replicated the same thing in the VSJ as well. But that being said, I always encourage you guys to pre-cut your produce for best results. That being said, if you're juicing small amounts, you know, 32 ounces, don't worry about cutting, okay? So anyways, back to the question at hand. Which of these two guys do you get? I mean, I just had a recent video with my girlfriend, and this is her favorite juicer, right? This is the one she uses day in and day out to juice. And meanwhile, I had a video, touting that the Slowstar juicer is the best juicer for beginners, which I also would agree with. And it's like anything in life, right? There's always pros and cons. I'm sure, you know, for your partner, your wife, your husband, there's things you like about them and there's things you don't like about them, right? And I want you guys to focus on the things you like about your partner and the things you like about the juicer and get the one that's going to be appropriate for your specific needs. So what I'm going to do in this episode is basically go over some of the pros and cons of each of the different models so that you guys know. And at the end of this video, I'll make suggestions based on certain criteria on which one you should buy, all right? So here's the thing. These are both second generation machines. They both work phenomenally well. Let's first start out with the warranty difference. The Slowstar juicer has a 10-year warranty. The Omega VSJ has a 15-year warranty. Now let's talk about the motor power. The motor on the Slowstar is more powerful with more torque. So I don't think I've ever gotten this to jam on me. Meanwhile, the VSJ, you know, I have a video that I'll post a link down below, juicing carrots, and it jams and clogs up. I was also recently, just this past weekend, juicing beets in the VSJ, and it also stopped up on the beets. So then you have to sit there and hit the reverse switch and fiddle with it and play with it. And there's no need to do any of that on the Slowstar because it just powers right through it, right? So that's a pro for the Slowstar. On the flip side, the Omega VSJ actually will leave you a virtually pulp-free juice. This juicer makes the least amount of pulp from any vertical single auger juicer, which in general tends to make a little bit more pulp in the juice, right? Especially if you're coming from the VRT series, Omega's previous generation of the vertical juicers. This one makes substantially less pulp. Now, the Slowstar makes less pulp than some of the other first generation machines, but it still does put some pulp in the juice. And, you know, my recommendation is just drink the pulp as it comes out, because some pulp in with your juice, in my opinion, is a good thing, unless you absolutely hate pulp. I mean, most people get, orange juice with pulp in it. It's not a big deal. But if you don't like the pulp, the Slowstar gives you the option to remove it if you don't want it. And how they do that is actually, they give you a nice, high quality, 100% stainless steel sieve to remove all the pulp out of your juice if you don't want it. Of course, Omega, on the other hand, doesn't even include a sieve, you know, and in some cases the VSJ does make pulp in the juice, so you're going to have to go out on your own to buy a sieve to do this. So I'm glad that TriBest is including this part to do that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the yield. I have a video, I'll put a link down below, when I juiced in both these machines the same exact produce items, and after sieving them both out, the VSJ made more yield, but the more yield was only 7% more, and I would estimate the yield difference to be between 0 and maximum 10% difference. So if you're juicing 10 ounces, you might get 1 extra ounce maybe a ½ ounce in the VSJ, but that depends on what specifically you're juicing. So for example, if you said, John, I'm going to juice like a lot of leafy greens, then, you know, it's my personal opinion, based on my experience that the VSJ is going to get a little bit higher yield when juicing like straight leafy greens than the Slowstar machine. But on other things, the Slowstar will actually win because there's no clear winner in every single category, right? So that's having to do with the yield. Now another factor that's important for me and why I recommended this Slowstar for beginners is because not only will it juice, right? Not only will it extract nut milks, both these guys will, but also the Slowstar, unlike the VSJ, actually has this attachment which is known as the mincing or homogenizing attachment. And you use the same auger that comes with the machine, you put it inside here, and this allows you to make things like frozen banana sorbet. It allows you to make things like baby food for your baby. It allows you to make things like salsas and nut butters. It allows you to grind your coffee beans if you're still drinking coffee. I say replace the coffee with the fresh juice instead, right? It lets you mince up garlic and so many other uses you can do with this attachment that is included with the price of the juicer. And let me tell you guys, I've been telling Omega forever since the VRT line that they need to make a homogenizing blank plate attachment, something for their machines, and they're still not doing it. And I know that a lot of people love this feature. You know, if you want to make healthy lifestyle changes because you're eating junk food, processed food, you're getting ice cream that has monodiglycerides and corn syrup and all kinds of additives, and you want to start eating healthier, well, this is the attachment that allows you to take, you know, ripe frozen bananas that you freeze yourself for literally pennies a pound and take them out and put them through here and make a nice creamy banana ice cream with no cream, it's 100% bananas, or banana sorbet that tastes amazing just like ice cream. And then you could top it with some chopped up nuts that you could also chop up in this attachment. You could also, you know, mix it with frozen berries when you're doing the bananas and have a banana berry. You could make, you know, cantaloupe sorbet. Any kind of fruit virtually will make a sorbet, and if you go to one of those big box stores like Costco or whatever, you could get organic fruits for super cheap. And if you're not a member of the warehouse club stores, you know, go to like a Trader Joe's. They got frozen fruit for cheap as well. But don't go to the big whole paycheck place. They'll take your all money. So yeah, so that's why I like the Slowstar. Now let's get into something that's real sensitive to many people. It's the cleaning. And I want to go ahead and show you guys this. We take this apart here. Now, the VSJ is more easier to clean, and this is something that's important to me, and it may be important to you. Now, what does it mean? Does it mean it's half as easy to clean? Well, no, I mean, it's a bit easier to clean. I mean, both the machines have pretty much the similar parts right here. So, as you guys can see, we have the tops you're going to have to clean, then we have basically the main juicing bowl, and then we have the wiping blades, the screen, and the auger. So, you know, if you look at the augers, they're both fairly similar here. In the cleaning, they both have a recess on the bottom that you will need to get in and clean. Actually, I've never looked at this before, but the VSJ recess is actually not as deep. Next, we got the automatic wiping blade here, and both are pretty similar. The VSJ is actually easier to clean because it doesn't have these teeth on the bottom, which actually drives this. This is driven by the top, which I really like a lot. And then finally, you have the screen. So the screen area is less actually on the VSJ, so this means cleaning is going to be a little bit easier, but there's actually more chances of juice to come out of the screen of the Slowstar. Plus also you have this extra ridges and extra plastic on the Slowstar that you'll have to clean. So, you know, although it is very similar, the VSJ is easier to clean. I mean, we're getting into the minutia here. Now the other thing that's important is that the VSJ is also more quiet. So if you want a quieter machine, the VSJ is more quiet, mainly because, you know, this one has this gear here and this little gear that spins here, and that does make a little bit of noise, you know, with it rotating. Whereas the VSJ, you know, the wiping blade is actually driven by the top of the auger. So if you're like super noise sensitive, you know, you're gonna want to go for the VSJ. That being said, these machines are some of the quietest machines on the market. I mean, I think the VSJ is the quietest machine that I've tested to date. So yeah, that's on the cleaning and the noise factor. Let me go ahead and get this guy filmed up, and we'll be right back at you, sharing a few more pros and cons of each of the machines. Another difference between these machines is the price difference. So the VSJ is more expensive than the Slowstar juicer, and what you're going to get for that is, basically a little bit more yield, up to 10% yield, 5 extra years on the warranty. But what you're going to miss out is the homogenizing attachment. And right now we have the Slowstar on promotion, so there's actually a pretty wide gap between the two different models. And for that reason, you might want to go with the Slowstar because it just costs less money. And let's talk about after service, warranty service for you guys, because I know if you guys have warranty service, and Omega has 15-year warranty and Tribest has 10-year warranty, how is it to get a hold of the company, and how responsive is the company to your needs? And I get feedback on this all the time, trust me. And recently I've got a rash of people emailing me about the service from Omega that they can't get through, they don't get they don't get return phone calls, they don't get their emails answered. And all I can say is that if you buy the juicer from Discount Juicers, you let me know you're having problems with either of the manufacturers, I will personally make sure that you are taken care of, and you will not get this when you buy the machine from anywhere else. I have special relationships with the juicer manufacturers, and I can get things done. But that being said, just for an average person calling, overall, Tribest has better customer service and support from the feedback I've received. So the next thing I want to share is actually pretty easy, and this is basically the size and weight of the machine. Some people like small, compact things, and some people like things a bit more big and beefy, right? So the Slowstar, as you guys can see, is a bit taller than the VSJ. The VSJ is more compact, and let's see, this is actually quite heavy right there. And this guy, it's actually quite heavy as well for a small, compact thing. For about this, I'd guesstimate the same weight, but this guy's a little bit bigger. Next, I want to talk about the color selections and preferences. So the Slowstar, like Henry Ford said, you could have any color you want as long as it's black. Slowstar, and Tribest believes that if you want the Slowstar, you're only going to be able to get it in black, in this red, maroon, sparkly color. And on the VSJ, actually, you have quite a few color options. You have this white color, you have a silver color, and then you also have a red color, right? And then in addition to that, this is the square VSJ. They also have a round model that actually cuts off this whole part here, so it has less footprint on the countertop, but it operates 100% the same. I do have a video, I'll post a link down below, comparing the round to the square version. And that model actually only comes in 2 of the colors. So you'll have a different, selection of different colors if that's one of your most important criteria. So I think those are all the pros and cons and some of the differences between the machines that I've been able to point out. I also want to, encourage you guys to watch the video where I compared the actual juice off between these machines if you haven't seen that already. And now what I'm going to do is actually share with you guys my opinions on which one you should purchase based on specific needs, right? So if you said, John, I want to just have a hassle-free juicing. Like, I don't want to sit there, hit the reverse button all day and have to deal with carrots backing up. Then if you're that kind of person, then I would say get the Slowstar. If you're one of those persons that says, John, I want a pulp-free juice the first time. I don't have to deal with a strainer. I don't have to deal with a sieve, sieving it out. That's humbug, then you're going to want to go with the VSJ. And if you're one of those people that's like noise sensitive, John, I really can't stand loud noises, or I got a neighbor next door and he bangs on my wall when I'm juicing because the Breville sounds like an airplane taking off and you got to get something quiet, well then you're going to want to go with the VSJ because it's the quietness of them all. Now if you're one of those people that actually wants to get some pulp in your juice, then you're going to want to go with the Slowstar because it does put a fair bit of pulp in your juice, but as I said before, you could actually easily strain that out. Now, if you have a big family and you're going to be using the juicer a lot, and you want to make dietary changes besides just juicing, I'm going to say go with the Slowstar because it has that homogenizing attachment that comes with the machine to allow you greater flexibility than the VSJ. Now, if you're one of those people that like make long-term investments and like to make sure your money's safe and you're going to be good for a long time, right? Then you're going to probably want to go with the VSJ because that's a 15-year warranty instead of 10-year warranty. That being said, 10 years is still quite a long time on the warranty, and I wish all kitchen appliances had a long warranty. And even like things like cell phones, what if your iPhone had a 10-year warranty? For 10 years, you're guaranteed it's going to be working. I mean, that's simply amazing. So I'm glad that both these machines have nice, long warranties. Now, if you're somebody that wants to juice a lot of carrots, then I'm going to tell you guys straight up, you're going to want to get the Slowstar because hassling with carrots in the VSJ is a hassle. And it's not too fun having to reverse it and whatnot. And if you're going to do something like beets or other hard root vegetables, same thing, go with the Slowstar. Now, you know, one of the reasons why you might want to get the VSJ is because it actually does better on things like leafy greens. And if you said, John, I'm going to juice mostly straight leafy greens without anything else, then I'd say go with the VSJ. It's one of the best juicers on the market for juicing straight greens. And if you're going to do a mixture like, you know, mostly greens with some carrots, then you might want to go with the VSJ. But if you're going to do mostly carrots and beets and some greens, then go with this guy, right? And, you know, I want to stop here. And one of the reasons why I like both these machines is because they juice a wide variety of things, from leafy greens, hard vegetables, and fruits. They all do it well at, you know, fairly well, given it's just one style machine, the vertical single auger. And you know, I do need to let you guys know that this is my favorite style machine. So if you're one of those people that are really focused on the price, right, and the price is the most important thing to you, then you're going to want to go with the Slowstar, because the Slowstar costs less money than the Omega VSJ. Now if you're one of those people that says, John, I don't care how much it costs, I don't care how much yield I'm making, I don't care if it jams on carrots, but what I care about is that I have the easiest cleaning, because I know if I don't have a juicer that's easy to clean, I'm simply not going to use it. In that case, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go with the VSJ843, because it is easier to clean than the Slowstar, with less nooks and crannies and less screen area, which is going to be a lot easier to clean in the long run. Now if you're one of those people that actually don't like using the included plastic catch jars to catch your juice or catch containers, then you're going to want to go with the Slowstar. I like the Slowstar because it is taller and it allows you to put a nice glass underneath the Slowstar spout to catch all your juice, so that it's not going into a plastic container. Of course, if you're somebody that has a color coordinated kitchen, and that's not me, and you gotta have a certain color, right, then you're probably gonna have to go with the VSJ, because they give you more flexibility on the colors, right? Now if you're one of those people that's square and not round, and you want a square juicer and not one that's rounded or oval, then you're gonna want to go with the VSJ, because the VSJ comes in this nice cube model with a handy dandy switch on the front, and then instead of this on and off switch on the back. And this is the preference I like, because I'm facing the machine, I can see the on and off switch, I could easily use it when I need to reverse jamming on the carrots or whatnot. And you know, so that's what I use. So if the most important thing to you is just overall yield, then I'm gonna have to say go with the VSJ, because in my belief and based on my current testing, the VSJ will get higher yield overall, although in some cases the Slowstar will get more yield, but in most cases the VSJ is gonna be the winner in the yield testing based on my prior experience. So what's important to you is having the most flexibility to be able to do other things besides just juice. Then of course you want to go with the Slowstar, because you have that homogenizing attachment, which in my opinion is pretty huge. Now both these machines also come with specialized cleaning brushes that you guys could clean the screens off, and one of the tips I want to share with you guys is when you're done juicing, clean up your juicer right after you're done, because if it sits around for a little bit, the stains set in, you know, the pulp dries in the screen, it gets significantly harder to clean, and just don't do it. And if you can't clean it immediately, minimally fill up a dish tub with some water and soak the parts in a dish tub so that you don't get set in stains. Now for me, the VSJ takes me about 3 minutes to clean, and the Slowstar, you know, probably about 4 minutes to clean, so it's pretty close. So, but it's not a lot of time, and I want to encourage you guys to always clean the juicer after you're done. So in summary, I'd like to say that each person has their specific needs, and I went over a whole bunch of different criteria earlier in this episode on to which juicer you might want to get. And as you guys can see, it's not a clear winner like, oh, it's always better to get this one or it's always better to get that one. You know, I wish there was a machine that took the best of both these worlds and put them in one machine, right? And then I'll tell you to get that one instead of either of these two. I don't really care. I just want a machine that works well, gets the highest yield, easy to clean, and all these things. And nobody's come out that one juicer that does it all yet. So I'm still waiting for that. And be sure to subscribe to my videos down below to be notified of when I have new and upcoming episodes of new juicers that's coming out on the market, when I test them and share my opinions on them with you guys. But anyways, to sum up the VSJ and Slowstar debate, you know, get the machine that will do the best for you based on your needs. Like price and flexibility is the most important, well then again the Slowstar. But if you want yield and easy cleaning, then go with the VSJ. And I know it's tough to figure it out if you're watching all my videos and trying to figure out which one to do. You know, I will let you guys know this. I have 20 juicers in the house. I have a selection of anything that I want to use. But for the most part, I personally choose to use the VSJ843 simply because I'm lazy. You know, it's easy to clean. I could save 1 minute on cleaning time and I'm going to get a little bit more yield without having to pre-filter my juice because it already comes out fairly pulp-free, and I actually prefer a pulp-free juice than one with a pulp. Now, does that mean that you should get this one because I got it? Not necessarily. I tend to juice a lot of greens. I don't tend to juice a lot of carrots. You know, I juice a lot of celery, which this does great in. You know, I juice lots of fruits, and this does great with cactus fruits and any fruits I throw in there. But, you know, on the flip side, this Slowstar will do fine too. But that's just my personal opinion and what I use in my kitchen and what sits on my counter most of the time. And I hope that TriBest in the future will make improvements to this machine and even make it better. And that's one of the things I want to say is that, you know, in the past, Omega has had customers have to, you know, purchase a new machine when upgrades come out. And TriBest, when they did come out with the pulp flap and, you know, new seals and all this stuff on the machine, they actually sent out for a limited time the free upgrade. So I really hope that TriBest, you know, makes their machine better, deletes the little spinner wheel, makes it less, you know, less parts to clean, you know, less pulp in the juice. And I know they could do this. And then they provide free upgrades or nominal cost upgrades, whereas Omega generally will just come out with a whole new juicer instead. So I like how TriBest is a little bit more customer service oriented than Omega that actually just wants to sell you another juicer. And this is, of course, my personal opinions. So with that, if you are interested in purchasing one of these two juicers, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work, which enables me to make the videos I do on YouTube to educate the people, educate you guys about juicers, about living healthfully, about growing your food and all this kind of stuff. By making your purchase at Discount Juicers, this allows me to continue to do my work. And I want to thank you guys for your support. If you have supported me in the past, or, you know, for your future support when you choose to make your purchase. So you can also check the links down below to the Discount Juicers website on each of the machines to learn more about them. Also check the links down below in the description for videos, related videos that I've also previously mentioned in this episode. Also be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 400 episodes now comparing all the different juicers on the market so that you guys could choose the best one for you. Also, if you like this format, hey, please give me a thumbs up to let me know. I'll do more head-to-heads and going over the pros and cons of each of the machines, because every juicer has their pros and cons. And of course, I have my personal favorites, as do other people as well. So once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors. All right, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com to do another exciting episode for you. And this is a very special episode for me because it's one with my beautiful girlfriend, Lauren.
Hello.
And today, what she's going to do, I'm not even going to do it, is actually she's going to go over the different juicers that she has had in the past and her current favorite one that she's using now.